Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is chapter 138 of Gains, and this one is titled Boy X Boy. Anything in particular you were talking about? You asked slyly as you walked into the dark room. No, Bakugo grunted. No, Kiri replied, obviously going off what Bakugo had just said. Yeah, totally normal to be discussing absolutely nothing in the dark in a room together, you said slyly. But it's none of my business, I guess. Just wanted to add that I approve, so there's no need to be shy. Not being shy. Not shy about it, Bakugo said, the room falling into complete darkness as he closed the bedroom door completely. Of course you're not, you chuckled, giggling more as you were grabbed into a hug from behind and lifted up, knowing it was Bakugo who was doing it. He knew the layout of his room, and you were placed down on the bed and rolled over, finding that Kiri had made his way onto the bed now too, and the kissing ensued. It was dark, so you couldn't see who was who, but there was a point there at which you heard kissing, but you weren't involved in it, and you grinned in the darkness. I'll have to quiz E on this later, you thought, as you caught another pair of lips against your own. After having a good make-out session in the dark, you settled down, sandwiched between your two boys again, with Bakugo behind you and Kiri in front, but with Bakugo's hand across you and resting on Kiri's hip, all of you lying in a line. I just needed a cuddle. But this ended up being so much better, you yawned. Any time, Yin, Kiri said gently from in front of you. If I fall asleep here, could one of you please wake me early so I can go back to my own room before Aizawa catches us? You asked, yawning again. Yeah, Bakugo grunted. And that's the last thing you remember, finally falling asleep peacefully between your boys. It was very early the next morning that Kiri woke you and lifted you up in his arms, grunting softly as he adjusted you, and then carried you bridal style to Bakugo's door. Thanks, bro, he whispered as Bakugo opened the door for him, and there was a pause and a small kiss noise before he left with you in arms, carrying you down the hall back to your room before going back to his. You vaguely remembered him carrying you over to your bed and putting you down gently, and covering you with your blankets, before checking your alarm and kissing you on the forehead, and then sneaking out, and thankfully, you got another 2 hours of sleep before you had to get up. When your alarm went off, that 2 hours later, you dragged yourself out of bed to start the day. You had a good sleep, once you'd fallen asleep, but the overall length of sleep hadn't been that great, so you were feeling a little bit drained. Just gotta get through today, and then I can get a bit of sleep tonight, you thought, as you pulled your hero outfit on and then grabbed your bag and headed out the door. It was patrolling again that day, and this time you were with Kiri. You were happy you had a chance to be somewhat alone with him because you were bursting at the seams to ask him about Bakugo. There was definitely some advancements going on in their little world, and you were curious to ask him. The first segment of the patrol went well, a few people to help with minor things, so it wasn't too bad, and then the second segment was pretty boring, just wandering the streets but keeping an eye out. It was in this second segment that you casually dropped your question. Hey, you said as you walked side by side with Kiri. Last night before I got to Katsuki's room, you said, leaving a sentence hanging to give him some room to speak. Oh, he said with a blush and a scratch to the back of his head. I know you said you approve of it, and nothing's official yet, but I think Katsuki likes me back. That's great, you replied. No, honestly, I'm really happy that you two have connected like this. Did you have a chance to talk to him about your feelings? A little, Kiri replied shyly. I had already told him that I was kind of into him when we were at the mountains, but we just had more of a chance to get closer this time, I guess. We weren't really talking about relationships before you came, but I did get a chance to hold his hand. You did? You asked with surprise. He let you hold his hand? Yeah, well, it was dark. He had told me he didn't want the lights on, so I was sitting on his bed and I felt his hand nearby, so I reached out for it and was admiring how big his hands were, and then he let me hold it. But then when you came in and we were all kissing, I did kiss him, I think. It was dark. I wasn't really sure, but I think they were his lips. And then he did kiss me again when I was leaving with you in my arms, I think. I was pretty tired, he mused. So he hasn't told you he likes you back yet, like expressly, you asked. No, he says stuff that makes me think that he likes me back, but hasn't actually said it straight out, Kiri said. You hummed. Do you remember when you owed me one favour at the gym when we were doing pull-ups? You asked. He thought for a second. Wow, yes, I do remember. You have a very good memory, Yin, he said. Okay, my favour is, I want you to, if you want to, ask Bakugo to be your boyfriend, he said with a smile. If you two got together, that would make me really happy. Then we could all be happy. You really want that? He asked. Yeah, definitely. We all need to be in on this, he said with a smile. If you want me to do it, then I will, because I'd like that too. But what if he says no? Kiri said with a worried look on his face. You chuckled. He's kind of given you hints he likes you. He's held your hand and kissed you and put his hand on you. I'm pretty sure he'll say yes, but he won't say it easily, you warned. He'll say it in the most Bakugo way possible. Kiri chuckled. Yeah, he will, but okay, I'll ask him to be my boyfriend soon, he said with a passionate look on his face. That's the manly thing to do. You chuckled. And I'll be there too, rooting for you, you added, because that's the manly thing to do too. Kiri chuckled, and you both fist bumped and then continued on your rounds. Later that day, after completing your patrol, you headed back to Heights Alliance. I'm just going to get the cushion from Aizawa and head to Mum's to check up on her and give her the cushion, you said to your boys. Oh, good luck, Kiri said. I really need to keep up with my homework. I almost got failed on that last one since I handed it in so late, he said with a sweat-dropped look on his face. Dumbass, Bakugo grunted. I'll make you do it. Come to my room with your homework. Thank you, Katsuki, he said sweetly to him. I appreciate you helping. He looked proud, and you gave Kiri a sly wink, knowing this would be good bonding time between them. And there ends chapter 138. Stay tuned for chapter 139 coming tomorrow.